Hey, today we are going to work on a skill that a lot of people are talking about right now. It was recently named like the emotional intelligence super skill, and it's called metacognition. I don't know if it's a super skill, but it's an important one if you're interested in building your self-awareness. If you're in a personal development algorithm, you've probably heard people talking about this, so stick around and I will tell you what it is and how you can build this skill. My name is Jaylene. I'm a personal development coach and founder of Bardo Coaching. The ecosystem of personal development is huge and can be overwhelming. So I'm here just to kind of cut through the noise and highlight information and strategies that can actually work for you. So metacognition means thinking about thinking. That's it. Do you have the ability in the moment to slow down and think about what you're thinking? Developing the ability to be aware of, reflect on, and direct your thinking is actually the super skill that will impact your relationships in a big way once you master it. The biggest relationship it's going to impact is the most important one, which is you and yourself. So there are three parts to metacognition: knowledge, contemplation, and documentation. So we're going to start with knowledge. What do you know about yourself? And I mean, like, what are your values? How do you learn? What are your strengths and weaknesses? How do different emotions feel inside your body? Do you even know if you're having an emotion when you're having it? Some of these things you can figure out really easily if you don't know already. If you don't know what values are important to you, get online, find a value sorter exercise and do it. Save it, do it often, because our values might not change, but the priority of our values does depend on what season of life we're in. Some of these take more work and more time to know, especially emotions and how they feel in your body. That's a skill that takes self-awareness and practice, which kind of takes us to contemplation. Any contemplation activity is a good contemplation activity. What's important when it comes to contemplation is that you find what feels right for you. This isn't going to be able to be based on what your friend does or anyone else does. So there's like insight meditation, quiet contemplation, prayer. These are all different versions of the same thing. Quiet time to reflect on how you are feeling. So whenever I talk about meditation or even quiet contemplation, there's always someone that says they cannot do it because they can't quiet their mind. That's not what you're supposed to do. That's not the goal. An active mind, even in contemplation, has a lot of material for us to work with. Insight meditation is kind of what I use, so we're going to talk about what that looks like, but these concepts are applicable to any practice that you like. So let's just say you've had an argument with a friend, you don't feel great, but you kind of don't know why or what you feel or why you're upset. So even if you only have 5 minutes, you can do this. Put yourself in a quiet spot, like even if you have to go to your car, take a minute to ground yourself. Take some deep breaths, regulate a little bit. When you're feeling grounded, start reflecting on the conversation or the thing you want to figure out. Think about the parts that are really like sticking to you, that won't go away, right? That you kind of just keep going over again and again. Turn the words over in your mind and start to feel how, like, the sensations in your body, right? This is probably going to feel weird because usually we just replay conversations and let that emotion take over, but we're trying to do something different here. Like maybe you can watch the conversation like it's a movie, like zoom out a little bit. And at different points in this conversation replay, eventually you're going to feel a feeling in your body, right? Once you do, pause the replay and just allow the feeling to be there, right? So, I mean, I don't know, I do better with examples. So if I'm replaying a conversation that has me upset and I'm kind of thinking about it and contemplating it, there's going to be a point where I'll decide, like, I'll kind of just come down to, well, that was embarrassing. I just said that, right? Or then I did say that at the time. And so I'm just like, all right, I'm embarrassed, right? Just kind of saying that is actually really informative and kind of releases some of the pressure from even having the feeling. Sometimes I don't know what it is. I have to run through a list of emotions. Sometimes I know immediately, right? This really takes some practice, especially if you've never done it before. You just need to stick with it. Naming how you feel is the first step to being able to manage that feeling and do this type of contemplation. So this is a version of mindfulness or some insight meditation. It's an internal conversation. Especially in the beginning of practicing this or any other kind of mindfulness, me personally, my inner critic was like super loud. When I feel embarrassed or mad, my inner critic like chimes in and tells me how stupid I am or, Mom, God, you messed that up. So this is kind of a space where it would be great if you could work on giving yourself some self-compassion or some grace. Like, we're all human, we're having a human experience, and to have a human experience is to make mistakes. So try to bring some grace into this exercise for yourself. So at this point, we have knowledge, right? We kind of know what our values are, our strengths and weaknesses. We've done some contemplation of some sort. These are steps that build on each other. Contemplation is less effective if you don't have knowledge. Maybe the ickiness with your friend is going to feel a lot more intense if one of your core values is friendship. So that's good to know. The final step is documentation, and that's where we integrate this for future use. Before we get to that, reminder that you can always schedule an absolutely free 20-minute consultation call with me to see if coaching is right for you. We do not just talk about coaching in this call, we actually do some coaching, so you'll leave with some insights. There's a scheduling link in my bio if you want to set that up. So documentation, the third step, this seals this into our brains. If you pull out a journal and write about what happened, how you feel, add what you would do differently, you're starting to teach your brain. You're giving your brain a strategy for next time. You could even replay the conversation and write out what you would do differently, replay the conversation with a different ending, actually feel how you would feel if you had done it differently. And you're training your brain that this is a strategy I can do. Doing it this way makes me feel better. I like it. I would rather have conversations this way. Putting a pen in your hand and writing this down is top tier strategy. It's not going to be the same if you type it. If you can't write, maybe you can open a note or a doc on your phone and use dictation or a voice memo to record it. Last strategy would be to type it, right? It doesn't do the same, but just using the tools that you have and what's available to you, right, to get this documentation done. So how does this help big picture? What are all of these three things doing together? There's actually several things happening here. If every time you get into a serious conversation or disagreement and you don't react the way you want, that reaction you don't like, it's an automatic response. That part of your brain that's in charge of that reaction is trained and the neural pathway is deep. You have to undo that, and it takes a lot of time and practice to redo a neural pathway. But no matter how old we are, we can change the structure of our brain. We have neuroplasticity, we can build new neural pathways, but we can only do that by practicing and doing the new things we want, right? We can decide that we don't like this reaction and we can build in a new one. The longer we've been engaging in the behavior that we don't like, the longer it will take to build the new behavior, but you can absolutely do it. This is just not a quick fix though, guys. You have to be patient and intentional. We're also learning about ourselves when we do this. After a few contemplation exercises, you might start noticing that, wow, every time I get this feeling in my stomach, that actually means I'm sad. Well, that's valuable info, and that means in the future, you could be in a situation, feel that feeling in your stomach, and realize in that moment, I am sad right now. That gives you the ability to say, I feel so sad about this. How can we move forward? How can we change this situation? It allows you to advocate for yourself. When you can do that, you are thinking about thinking. You're thinking about feeling. You are doing something that emotionally intelligent people know how to do. Let your cognitive brain be in charge, not your emotional brain. So congratulations, then you would be building your emotional intelligence. I encourage you to keep practicing, learning, contemplating, and journaling. This is a skill that you really have to practice a lot again and again before it becomes habit. But I can tell you from personal experience and working with others, it is extremely possible to be in the moment and realize something's going on because you're listening to your body and you're thinking about what you're thinking, and you can shift a conversation. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time.